I'm going to give a honest, non-biased look at the 2028 election. You know what? I should probably pull up opinion polling. 2028 election. Wikipedia opinion polling. Alright, so let's be honest. JD Vance has this very easily for the Republicans. I think worst case scenario, Marco Rubio gets the nomination or Ron DeSantis. And both of these candidates are still pretty good candidates. And if like Nikki Haley or Chris Christie want a chance at win, honestly, Chris Christie should not run and give his full endorsement to Nikki Haley. Or honestly, I could see like a Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, and like the other candidates just all going behind Ron DeSantis. If they want, Ron DeSantis still aligns with Trump, but he still isn't full Trumpism. So if the rest of Trump's turn, just turns out to be a disaster, worst case scenario, Republicans still get a strong candidate in Ron DeSantis. But it's not like anything. I don't think anything awful is gonna happen unless if we go into like a recession. Trump's disapproval rating is around 4.7%, which actually isn't too bad compared to Biden's and like after 2022, but we still are early in Trump's term. Prices are going up, but inflation is down. Inflation did surge a little bit by 0.3% in June, probably because of the tariffs. I expect that to sort of stagnate over the rest of Trump's term if Trump, just keeps the tariffs the same, at most lowers them. If he adds more tariffs, we could see more inflation, but we probably won't see like Biden level inflation anymore. So let's go ahead. So I want to go ahead and get the candidates down. So obviously it's going to be JD Vance. Okay. And who's the number 2 guy? Who's somebody that's likable and has good reach? Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio, from Florida, charismatic senator, still young. How old is Marco Rubio? Marco Rubio. He's only 54, which actually is not bad at all. I want to make sure. Race. Okay, he's Cuban American. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. And then JD Vance's age. Oh, JD Vance. And JD Vance is 40. So he'll be 44 by the end of Trump's term. 48. That's a pretty young president. I believe that's younger than Obama. I think people will be excited for JD Vance and Marco Rubio. Yes, because of how young the ticket is. Now, currently, let's go over to the Democratic opinion polling. Okay, so Kamala Harris is still leading the polling, but most likely Kamala Harris is just going to take the open California governor seat. If Kamala Harris does decide to run, I don't think she'll be this popular by the Democratic primaries. And I think a lot of her support will go to someone like Josh Shapiro or Gavin Newsom. In the most recent polls, Pete Buttigieg and Gavin Newsom are neck and neck. There's a couple of polls where Josh Shapiro's up, but Josh Shapiro hasn't really been campaigning. I do think Josh Shapiro is a likable guy, but I don't know if he's the best campaigner. And I don't know, unless if he does good in Iowa, I don't think he'll have the momentum to win the governorship. I do think someone like AOC could win it if, let's be real, the Democrats don't really have a Democratic primary process, They're never going to let someone like AOC win it. Also, I don't really think AOC would be interested. I think AOC is probably more interested in getting in the Senate, taking Chuck Schumer's spot as the New York senator. I do think someone like Gavin Newsom is better than Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg does not do well at all with the black vote, and Pete Buttigieg doesn't do well with high turnout races either. I don't know. I don't really think Cory Booker's the strongest candidate right now. He does filibusters, but honestly, this is really just who's been in the news the most. So if I was the Democrats, if I could choose who the Democrat nominee was, if they were paying me to choose who the Democrat nominee was, and I had to choose who I think had the best chance at winning the general election, I'm taking Josh Shapiro. Now currently right now, is he the leading candidate? No, it's probably someone like Gavin Newsom. We see on average opinion polling without Kamala Harris is Buttigieg plus 3.7%. But I do expect this to go down as Gavin Newsom seems to start campaigning. I expect Gavin Newsom to announce his run for president as soon as 2026 starts, or whenever he leaves the governorship of California, and then that's 2 years straight he gets to just campaign nonstop until 2028. And we also do have to remember other is still at 28% and undecided is 19%. I do think a lot of this other will go to someone, probably not Pete Buttigieg. I don't really know if the Democratic establishment likes Pete too much. I think, these more smaller candidates, the Democratic establishment will convince them to drop out and endorse someone like Gavin Newsom or someone like Josh Shapiro. But yes, based off the polling right now, I'm going to give it to Gavin Newsom. So, I do think Gavin Newsom, and also as he continues to campaign, he'll become more popular with the Democratic base. And then, honestly, I think he'll pick someone like Wes Moore to be his VP. Charismatic dude. I honestly think Wes Moore's a better candidate to Gavin Newsom, but Wes Moore has said that he doesn't want to run in 2028, although he could just be saying that for right now. If Wes Moore does run, I could very well see Wes Moore winning it. And then we have J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio. And we'll go ahead and get started with all of the safe states. Now, also, Gavin Newsom's a younger candidate. Gavin Newsom. He's 57. He's around the same age. So what will he be by 2028? 61? Honestly, that could hurt his chance. He's still younger, but not as young as people would like. And then Wes Moore. I do think and Wes Moore's 46. I do think people really do want younger candidates, and that really will help J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. We'll go ahead and get started with all the safe states. If Gavin Newsom is the nominee, Texas will be a safe state in this scenario. Iowa's safe, Indiana, Ohio's safe because of J.D. Vance, and so is Florida because of Marco Rubio. Alaska, and of course Nebraska as a whole. Now we'll go to Gavin Newsom and Wes Moore safe states, which will be Illinois, California, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Hawaii, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont, this district of Maine, and Maine as a whole, Maryland, Delaware, and DC. And that's probably all the safe states. So after the safe states are added up, I have Gavin Newsom at 179 to J.D. Vance 218, and even without Texas, it's pretty close tied. But I do think Texas will be safe based off right now. We'll move on to likelies. I do think Minnesota will. I think this 2028 will be the year that states start to re-solidify themselves in the party that they're already voting. So I do think Texas will continue to shift to the right. Florida will continue to shift to the right. Arizona will continue to shift to the right. And then we'll see Minnesota shift to the left. We'll see New Jersey shift back to the left. We'll see New Hampshire shift back to the left. New Mexico shift back to the left. I think New Mexico's likely, Virginia's likely, and New Jersey's likely. I think. Honestly, if I'm going to be having Minnesota likely, I think Arizona could be likely. I could very well see Arizona be likely. But I think... Honestly, I think Minnesota's probably only going to go Gavin Newsom in this scenario by around 5%, somewhere is there. He's not as popular as Biden was. I do think Arizona will probably go J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio by around 4%. Also, Nevada is shifting to the right, and will probably go J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio by around 4%. Of course, this district of Maine, will go to J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, and this district of Nebraska will go Gavin Newsom and Wes Moore. According to voter registration, independents and Republicans continue to gain in Pennsylvania. So I do think Pennsylvania is very slightly leaning to the Republicans, and the North Carolinas continue to vote Republican over and over. So I do think J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio will win it by around 2 to 3%. New Hampshire, of course, will go to Gavin Newsom, Wes Moore by around 4%. After this, that wins J.D. Vance the presidency against a weaker candidate like Gavin Newsom. Although Josh Shapiro is the nominee, I do think Democrats will win Pennsylvania. But if he's not, then Democrats can Pennsylvania's gone, basically. And without someone like Gretchen Whitmer on the ticket, I do think Michigan does lean Republican. And then with a weaker candidate like Gavin Newsom, I still think he will win Wisconsin. It was the closest swing state to voting for Harris, or from shifting to Harris. And then I think Georgia is really not really shifting anywhere, and it's the truest swing state of all the swing states. So this is my honest thoughts on how the 2028 election is shifting or looking right now. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and peace out.